I came from what you might call a broken home.
Oh.
Literally broken.
So Megamind is the archetype of the bad boy, of the black sheep. He's the villain. Like in the case of many bad boys, he comes from a broken or problematic household. He literally spends no time with his parents and is sent off into the space to another planet. This is a symbol of the children that feel emotionally distant from their family or even rejected, which is what often contributes to their problematic behavior later in life.
You are destined for... I didn't quite hear that last part, but it sounded important.
Very important. Minion and the binkie are supposed to symbolize that parents often want to be there and do their best. However, they're often simply not equipped with all the right tools to do so. Only some. In this case, he has a moral compass, which is symbolized by Minion given by his mother, and the idea of what affection looks like, symbolized by the father giving him the binkie. However, what he's missing is purpose. In a way, it's very good that he never heard what he's destined for. That's something that he has to decide on his own. The fact he never heard them is meant to explain the confusion he experiences later about what type of identity he should adopt. Because all he knows is that he's supposed to have a predefined role, but he never gets to hear what that is. That often is being translated as trying to fit into a predefined set of rules and be obedient to guarantee safety and belonging. Poor baby. Concussions everywhere.
That was the day I met Mr. Goody Two-Shoes.
And this is the introduction of the other archetype, the hero, the good man, the popular kid. As you see, he's also experiencing alienation of sorts, but it seems like he was better equipped by his parents. He has a higher level of comfort and safety, he seems more nurtured, and the quality of the spaceship is sturdier, which makes sure he has a steady trajectory. These are meant to symbolize the care and affection he has already experienced, which is why he is so confident and comfortable on his own already. And he also has a sense of steadiness translated into being consistent, which is a trait often associated with success. Megamind's spaceship is getting the job done, but in the meantime, his experience is lacking the comfort and safety of the other. Now, Megamind gives him already a nickname because he can see he has a better experience, but he doesn't know the reason. He resents him, so that's why he ends up believing they're destined to fight each other.
Our glorious rivalry was born.
Him almost standing up in this luxurious house is meant to symbolize how the bad boy and the good man archetype are not so different. The close encounter and the intertwining of the spaceships highlights the idea that they could have easily switched places. It suggests that their differing paths are not just a product of nature, but are significantly influenced by their environment and experiences. I find this to be a little nudge to the nurture versus nature debate.
Even fate picks its favorites. A much different fate awaited me.
Megamind keeps using words like fate or destiny and is meant to show an unhealthy belief that being a hero or a villain is predetermined. And as you can see, he is justified in thinking that, but it isn't actually true. This belief system makes him see himself through a very rigid and self-blaming lens and impairs his ability to see his potential for positive change. And I see this very same cycle with my clients that are way too rigid with themselves, but extremely dismissive or prone to excuse their environments and experiences. The first step to self-improvement is to recognize such unhealthy beliefs and make sure to challenge and reframe them. If you need help, book a session, link in bio. The gift is...
Oh, baby! How thoughtful!
How thoughtful!
Oh, luckily I found a lovely little place to call home.
As you see, both the hero and the villain are gifted, but society's preferences portray one's gifts as good and the other as bad, or dismissed, misunderstood, or overseen. Metroman's powers are related to the exterior, super strength, indestructibility, even the hair. Society tends to value abilities that provide clear, direct benefits. Megamind's gifts are intelligence and creativity, both internal qualities, not easy to spot, and their benefits are not immediately apparent as they're often seen through the lens of his villainous persona. Megamind's journey is all about breaking the status quo, breaking the rules of the villain role he has fallen into, and recognizing he can redefine himself by using those same gifts associated with evil. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
After a few years and with some time off for good behavior.
Two things here. One, he's treated like a criminal at a young age simply because he's in a prison. Because realistically speaking, he's a child. His place is obviously not there. But the adults around him fail to notice that and label his mischievous behavior as criminal. And two, this is a very good example of how individuals are very often treated based on their backgrounds or perceived differences rather than their actual potential. In real life, this leads to a self-fulfilling prophecy where the individual internalizes these labels and behaves accordingly. In real life, would be outraged to see a child in prison, but we don't bat an eye when kids are being judged for their backgrounds or families.
It was there that I once again ran into Mr. Goody Two-Shoes.
Not this
He
guy.
had already amassed a gigantic army of soft-headed groupies.
Sims.
So I too will make this puppet corn.
Again, you see, Metroman's gifts are appreciated because they don't need refinement. He controls them well, therefore people feel safe to lose themselves in the wonder and joy of his powers. But Megamind's abilities are seen as problematic simply because they require trial and error. Think of the Van Goghs and Teslas of this world. They have been often ostracized, alienated, treated like the odd one out. Their genius required time for the masses to appreciate them. And that's on us as a collective. The biggest cruelty of this world is for a Tesla to try and become a Picasso. We need them both, and as a society we should learn how to appreciate both. That Megamind is sent to the corner for trying, basically. For experimenting. For taking risks.
Good receives all the praise and adulation, while evil is sent to quiet time in the corner.
See, he's gifted, but everybody else calls it evil. Thank God he had received enough care from his parents for him to develop at least some self-esteem.
Fitting in wasn't really an option. I learned how to dehydrate animate objects and rehydrate
So incredibly
them at
gifted,
will.
you see.
I was always the odd man out.
I want to adopt this kid, I
one.
swear. Look at that smirk. Whoa. This scene represents victim blaming, and it's the next natural step in the making of a villain. You see, he created this helmet for which he is punished for in order to protect himself from being hit like last time. But instead of being praised, he's yet again sent to the corner for simply protecting himself. Like in the real world, when victims of bullying attempt to stand up for themselves are being punished. This also highlights again Megamind's moral compass. He doesn't only protect himself, but he sends the balls back because he sees that as fair. King behavior, right there.
Being bad is the one thing I'm good at.
See, his realization of being bad comes immediately after trying to protect himself from injustice and being yet again labeled evil. As a consequence of such trauma, he simply embraces the label he was given. This in real life is called internalized stigma, and it happens when individuals internalize societal labels and judgments. To make sense of the world, the victim might align their self-perception with these in an attempt to fit in. So he's now embracing the role of villain because nothing else makes sense.
If I was the bad boy, then I was going to be the baddest boy of them all.
In fact, Megamind is so confident in his villain role and is so charismatic is because he can let his gifts shine only through this mask. It's either that or nothing, basically. And ironically, people accept his gifts as a necessary evil much more than they accepted them when he didn't embrace the villain role. This can be a maladaptive coping mechanism, but I think I'll go broader to the societal identity theory. This theory suggests that a person's sense of who they are is based on their group memberships. That's why I find working on the individual imperative as to not be a slave of other people's perceptions.